Okay,
I hope.
here we are.
Sorry for the delay, folks.
What is better? This gives it more of a nightly thing, or this? I'm partial to this.
Really?
You're partial to the other one?
I am partial to nice and bright.
No, okay, fine. Whatever. Hi, guys. Hello.
Technical difficulties.
Yes, our internet service provider kind of sucks. It's been letting us down lately. We're not going to name it, but, you know. It does start with a C and ends with an Opel.
Oh.
Whoops.
Oops.
Okay, whatever. So I'm Daniel.
And I'm Raquel, and we're from Button English.
We're actually from Brazil in America, but yes. Sorry. It's just,
Get used to it.
it's just what I do, guys. All right, so we are here to talk to you for the first Podclass ever. Exciting.
Ooh.
Drum roll. About a bunch of interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How can you make English a part of your daily life?
Yeah.
What are some tricks? What are some hacks? What are some things that you can do in order to make English more of a reality than, oh, yeah, it's time to study English. 1 hour a week. No.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can you really get into it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm going to stop talking now because I have a native speaker next to me and she has a lot to share.
I do.
Hopefully.
Well, actually, first, before we get into that topic, I just wanted to clarify what we're doing because it's the first one.
That's a good idea.
And so it has all the growing pains of a first one. Yay. But the idea is that we're creating these pod classes. So it's a podcast, and we're just going to talk about random things, 100% in English. So it'll be a listening kind of practice. And it won't always, the topics won't always be 100% English related. They could be about anything. But the idea is that you come and you listen to an English conversation. And we may pause every now and again when we have something, if someone said a phrase or a word that we think is interesting to highlight. So there's the class part of it. But yeah, generally it's going to be, well, now I'm being upstaged by a very cute dog. But yes, that's the idea. So welcome to our first pod class with all of the technical difficulties that you would expect from a first. But also with a cute dog. So that saves everything on the internet, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was trying to do that, exactly. This here is Zizel, and he always comes to the rescue at the right time. Right,
yes.
Zizel? We love you.
And he's learning English too.
Yeah.
He's learning English.
Yeah.
So far, all he knows is let's go. But, let's go, Zizel. Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We're gonna let him go now. All right, bye. Where did I go? He's a character.
All right, so let's talk about English in daily life. And if you're learning English, why is this important first? We talked a little bit about it in our last live, but let's do it again.
That's true. Preach. Okay, you want to start?
No, you go. I pose the question to you.
All right. So here's the first thing that I was thinking about when we were planning this live. When I was not living here, when I was living in an English-speaking country, I had the privilege of owning a cell phone, a Nokia cell phone, one of those indestructible ones that had an FM radio function that was brilliant because you could hook up the FM radio to the alarm clock. So I was woken up every day by an FM station. You know those movie scenes where, there's someone in bed and then the alarm clock is a radio and it turns on. It's like, good morning. It's 6 o'clock and blah, 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 in Seattle, blah. It was like that. I felt like I was in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was basically sleeping on the floor of an apartment that I shared with a bunch of people in a far, cheap neighborhood, but I felt like I was in a movie. And the great thing about that is every morning I was woken up in English, something that had never happened before. So, slowly I started getting used to the things that they said at that time of the show. and it really helped me like pick up some of the expressions and get used to the sounds. I was living in Australia, so the accent was a big deal, and it was great. And today, this is so much easier to do. Like you don't need to have a specific cell phone for this. No, if you have any cheap smartphone, you can do it. Okay, there's an app called TuneIn, which is an app that you can listen to any radio, FM radio worldwide, and most cell phones, be them Androids or what is it? OS? No, iOS, right? Android or Apple. You can easily hook up this TuneIn app to your alarm clock on your phone and have that going. And there's so many stations in America, in the United Kingdom, in Australia, South Africa, all the English-speaking countries that, offer you such a nice range of options to set up an alarm clock in English. How much fun is that?
Yeah. Well, that was a great answer to the question I posed. And I'm going to pause because I did say I posed the question to you. And it just occurred to me that that's a nice thing to
That's true.
highlight.
Pose a question? What?
Yeah, so pose, if you know the word at all, you might know from like a model poses for a photograph. But yeah, we sometimes say, oh, I'm posing a question instead of asking a question. So it's just it's called a collocation, something that people often say. They go together. So you feel free if you want to sound super high level and intelligent and say, oh, I would like to pose a question instead of ask a question. Back to our topic. So yeah, alarm clocks. It's things that are in your everyday. These are fun things and easy things to change that you don't have to actually make an extra effort, but English will just pop up into your daily life. I know someone who every time he learns a new language, he changes the settings in his phone for the language display to be in the language he's learning, which I thought was a very interesting way to be in contact with the language, because you will learn
when she has to use it, because then all of the functions are, ready to go in English, and some of them in Portuguese can be confusing to her, but some of them could be confusing to me in English if I hadn't seen them. Like I had never seen some of those words before in English. I was so used to seeing them in Portuguese, and then I switched everything to English, and then a bunch of vocabulary just popped in. Like that's what it is. Oh, that's how you say that. I mean, I knew most of the words, but I didn't know they could be used in that context. It's just vocabulary, that you get for free.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the idea, right? You can't take time off. When it was a very long time ago, because I'm old, okay, people, and I started I actually started in middle school learning French. So, but anyway, I was obsessed. I was super excited to learn French. I had a long time love affair with the French language.
French is awesome.
And when I was in high school, which was a long time ago, like seriously, a long time ago. I'm old, okay?
Was it called something else?
What?
Was it still called high school?
Yeah, no, it was still called high school. I'm not that old, but it was, let's just say, like, there was only
And you name tag a lot of the stuff that you normally have to use around the house, right? Like, you can do that even to tools that you use. Kitchen tools, for example.
Yeah, this is more helpful, obviously, when you're more basic and you need to learn a bunch of items, right? And as you get advanced, obviously, it becomes more abstract and it's more difficult. It's like,
that's true.
Let me label happiness.
Love. How do you label love?
Ooh.
This is an entirely different podcast.
Philosophical podcast. Yeah. And then, of course, reading, right? Reading is a great way to expose yourself to the language and things. And a lot of people already do, especially for their jobs. Sometimes, like, they read articles or technical materials related to what they work in. but you don't have to limit it to that, and it doesn't have to be a huge investment. Some people enjoy reading novels and they try to do that. That's great. It's also it's a big commitment, so I understand when people don't necessarily have it. But even if it's just like a page or 2 pages a day, I think it's totally worth it. And if you're not super comfortable with English yet, then it really helps to pick up a novel or a book that you've read before in your native language, and then try and read it in English, because then you already know, right? You know what the story is. You're not going to get hung up. You're not going to feel so lost. But you're going to have this reference point that you can draw some connections, and so that can be fun. Also, if you are a person who likes the news, instead of having your feed be with sources in your native language, maybe you switch to in English, right? Some of the major newspapers, there are a lot of good sources for news. Christian Science Monitor, The Guardian for British English, New York Times, right? You can put some of those into your feed so that they pop up or you get notifications from them, and then that gives you something in English that's just going to pop up. And maybe you don't click on it very often, but every once in a while you might see something interesting, click on it and read it. So it's another way to keep, again, English sort of in eyesight.
In eyesight. That's a good one. All right. Very well. What else? What else can you do? Well, guys, let's face it. I mean, I think I didn't finish what I was saying about talking to yourself in another language, or specifically in English, right? But I'm sorry. If your commute is by car, you have no excuse. Like zero, nada. I have no pity for you. Oh, it's so embarrassing to talk to yourself. Come on. If you're in the car,
you can sing in the car, so you can definitely speak English in the car.
Yeah. You have to develop a thicker skin for the self-consciousness thing. Oh, what are people going to think? Speaking English, or speak English when you are alone taking a shower. Speak English in the car. If you are taking a long walk and you're not coming across a lot of people, speak English to yourself. This is called fluency practice. You're just going to get comfortable speaking the language, and it's going to come out of your mouth more and more naturally. And that's it. You can't possibly believe that the only way to practice English is to move to another country, or to have contact with native speakers, or to have a private teacher that every time you have to have a conversation, you have to talk to your teacher. No. Just create situations where you can speak English. And if you don't have anybody, guess what? You're enough. One is enough.
I mean, not to say that those things aren't super helpful. They are. Right, learning 100% on your own is very difficult. It's much more difficult, and usually it takes longer. But that it's not impossible, no. and you certainly can. And these are some ways that you can do that. Yeah, so there's that. But not even just talking to yourself. Sometimes it's like have an ear open. It depends where you live, of course, right? If you live in a rural area, you're going to be more isolated. It's going to be more difficult. But if you live in a city, chances are at some point you're going to hear someone speaking English. Yeah. And then you have to, like, if you're a shy person, well, if you're not a shy person, then you have no excuse, 0 excuses. If you are a shy person, honey, you got to, like, take a second, swallow, and then, like, gather up all of the courage and just go. And I'm a shy person, so I know, right? But I would do this with French. I was a teenager, this nerdy teenager, and every time I'd hear people speaking French, I would go, oh my God, I have to go. And there would always be a struggle, right? Because you get scared because you're like, oh my God, but what, is this too much? Are they going to be annoyed? I don't know what to do, And then I would, okay, no, just go, just say hi and welcome and them, and then see what happens, right? And I would go and I'd rehearse the opening line in my head, right? So that I wouldn't freeze when I get there. So I'd have exactly what I was going to say planned out. And then I'd get there and I would say what I needed to say. And people were always so excited. They would smile and they would say thank you. And then they would ask me questions about myself. So it was really good. Like, it was always a good, even though every single time I would get scared, I knew that it's like, no, I have to swallow it, because it was always good. It was always a good experience. It was always good practice. And it always helped me to just get out of the fear zone and go and speak and just let it come out. Whatever comes out, it's okay.
It's nice. Yeah. Developing courage. I like that. All right. While you were talking, I remembered a couple of more things that maybe we could talk about.
Okay.
So you mentioned rural areas, right? And then I started thinking, how many people are going to have access to this video that do not have access to a great internet connection? You know, not everybody has that. Like, either the person's watching this at work or in the city, but then they go home and the internet connection, is not very reliable. Well, here's an idea. There's something called shortwave radio. I know you were going to call me a dinosaur for suggesting that, right? But I did own a shortwave radio, Rádio de Onda Curta, if you're wondering what that is, okay? Guys, if you live in Brazil, you can go to one of those electronic stores and pick up a cheap shortwave radio for what? $80, $90, more or less. I used to love listening to BBC World every night when I went to sleep. Oh, it was so good, because it's the news, so they are very careful with diction, and they pronounce everything very well and very clearly, and it's very interesting because it's it's engaging. They talk about issues all over the world. And it's radio. It's kind of. I know that most of the young people who are going to listen to this are going to.
That's the second time he talked about radio. This guy is old.
It's so magical to listen to the radio. I really recommend. So this is one. But if you think this tip was 120 years old, you can always go for podcasts. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So if you don't know what they are, Raquel's going to help you with that right now.
Well, it's like what we're doing, basically.
Yeah. But this is a video podcast.
This is a video podcast. There are video podcasts and there are audio podcasts. And they're just, it's like similar to the old-timey radio shows.
Yeehaw!
But in podcast form. So it's people talking about something on a weekly, daily, whatever basis. And you can find, they're all free. You can find them. It depends. You can find them all kinds of places. You can find them on the website of whoever is hosting it, but you can also find them in iTunes. You can find them on Spotify. You can find them. Where else can you find them? There's another big one. Spotify, iTunes. Castbox. So all these places, you just search for podcasts. They're going to have of every topic under the sun. So whatever your interest is, there will be a podcast for you. Yeah. Guaranteed.
If you need a tip, if you need some help, direction to find these things, you can always contact us, okay? So pay us a visit. Pay a visit to our Instagram account. Drop us a direct message. How do you find us? Button.english, is that it?
Yeah.
At button.english on Instagram, and send a message. I would like a podcast recommendation. I like this, and that. We will be more than happy to help you. Okay?
It's true.
Apart from podcasts, something else that occurred to me earlier is this. Newsletters. So if you are a person that checks their email constantly, or at least a few times a day, subscribing to a quality newsletter in English or several, is actually a pretty good idea, because then you are reminded automatically on your email to already just go for it,
Yeah.
Read about your interest or read about something that amuses you. Subscribe to your favorite websites if you have any. So that's a way to, keep things going with English.
Yeah. So there are lots of different ways. Maybe you have some other creative ways that we haven't talked about. Feel free to leave us some comments giving us those ideas so we can share them with other people who are looking for them. But overall, I think we're going to wrap it up. Wrap it up means, finish what we're talking about, right? So we're wrapping things up here. Thank you for joining us, for those who have. Thank you for suffering through our technical difficulties. But, we talked about some good things, and keep up with us, because every week we're going to have one of these, and it's not just going to be about English. We're going to start talking about all kinds of different things. In fact, if you have any suggestions about what you would like us to talk about, also feel free to comment or send us a message on Instagram, whatever your heart desires. We love hearing from you and getting ideas from you. So please feel free to do that.
Yes, absolutely. And I would like to remind you that if you are interested in learning more English, the best thing you can do right now is follow us on Instagram at button.english. That's us. Okay?
That's us.
So we'll be waiting. Thank you, guys.
See you next week.